Okay, we're going to continue with this topic of adding and subtracting the integers at the opposite. So we know that this is 7 minus 3, and most of us know that this is 4. But sometimes it gets a little more complicated, especially like in the second one where you have a minus and a minus. And so when you think about this, subtraction is actually adding the opposite. So if you see a problem that says 7 minus, what you can actually you have a 7 and then you have a 3. Need the add the opposite, but we can still keep going and see if that helps you out in the other examples. Now when you look at this second one, you have two negatives. Now you can know that anytime you have two negatives, a negative of a negative, they cancel out and give you a positive. So that's one way of working it. But another way of working it is to say, hey, my teacher told me that if I have a minus, I can say let's add the opposite. And that's all going to be negative 7 plus 3. So whichever way you want to think about it, that works for me. I prefer this way. Two negatives make a positive. So this is a negative 7. Now when we get ready to subtract those, we have a about it like our mail time example earlier. I know I'm going to get a 4, but am I going to owe 4 or am I for pocket? And since it's negative, that negative result. It's like if you owed somebody $7 and you got $3 in your pocket. You have $4, but you still owe that person $4 because you owe. And so that's how you want to think about that. So this answer would be negative 4. Looking at this next one, you have 12 minus 24. You could say add the opposite if you wanted to. You could just come to the side and say, okay, I've got a 24 that's negative and a 12. If I subtract those, since my bigger one is negative, this result is going to be negative. For this one, I have two negatives. Two negatives make a positive, so this is 12 plus 8. And if I have a positive 12 and a positive 8, that's 20. You can put them on the number line, but if you had something like this with a 24 on it, that's going to be, a little bit hard to do on a number line. Okay, so here's some extra examples. I'm going to start over here on the 8th side. They're all 8s and 3s, and we have to know what to do with them. Oh, here it goes. Okay, so if I look at this one, positive 5. I have a negative 8, and I have a 3 with this one. I'm going to subtract them and get a 5. But since the 8 was bigger, that means my result is going to take that negative sign. You can think of it in terms of money again. I have $8. I owe $3 left. Okay, so you can think of this one as I owe somebody $8, but I get $3 left. Okay, talking about the third one in the list, you have two negatives. Remember that two negatives make a positive. So this is just 8 plus 3, which is 11. Looking at this one, two negatives make a positive. So this negative 8 stands alone, but two negatives make a positive 3. So when I get ready to do this one, I have a negative 8 and a positive 3. They have opposite signs, so I'm going to subtract them because they cancel one another out. And I'm going to have an overall result of -5. Got this one on the number. Free to. I'll draw it real fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here I am at -8. So I'm going to go over -8 places. 1, 2, 3. So that's where I am right here. And then I'm going to go 3 to the positive. So you feel free to use the number line if you'd like. Okay. I have some bigger numbers. Bigger. In the top one I have an 8 and a -7. I always put my bigger number on the top. So I'm going to subtract and I'll get a 1. And since the 8 was bigger and the 8 is positive, this is going to be a positive 1. Okay, so looking at the -4 plus 2, because two negatives make a positive. So I'm going to have a -4 and a positive 2. Have opposite signs, so that's going to be a 2. And since my bigger one was negative, that means I have a negative result. Okay, negatives here, so I have a -52 plus 14. -52 plus 14. Okay, 52 is the bigger number, so I'm going to put it on the top. We're going to subtract. Okay, so this would give me an 8, and this would give me a 3. And I have to decide, is it a positive 38 or is it a -38? So, since my bigger number was negative, that means my overall result is negative, and that would be my answer. Okay, so then it treats money questions. It says Lee had $410 in his account. He had to buy books for $230, so that means he's going to take $230 out for books. He had to buy an access code for $60, so he's going to have to take another $60 out. But then his aunt gave him $50 for his birthday. How much was in his account after that week? Now, as far as how you choose to group these, that's your own business. You can add them up or subtract them however you wish. You could do credits and debits, or you could do one piece at a time. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. I think I'm going to do the credits. So he had $410, and his aunt gave him $50. So that means he's going to have $460. Okay. However, we're going to take off $230 for the textbooks. Okay, so when I take off $230, that's going to leave me with $230 left. Just by coincidence, it's the same number. So I took off the textbooks. So now I have to also take off the access code. So this is 0. And this I'm going to have to borrow. So 13 minus 6 would give me a 7, and 1 left over here in the hundreds column. So he would have $170 left in his account. Now again, as long as you got 170, it doesn't matter which order you added or subtracted in. Okay, and that's a good place to stop.